You are making the world a better place by listening to the Joy of Living podcast. This is your guide to achieving a more purposeful, powerful, and positive life. Join Barry Shore in unlocking the best version of you and becoming happier, healthier, and wealthier. And now, here's your ambassador of joy, Barry Shore.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. Welcome to the Joy of Living podcast with your humble host, Barry Shore. And you have tuned in for one reason and one reason only. And it's the best reason in the whole world because you care the most in the entire world about you. Y-O-U. And that's great, by the way, because when you become the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony, you create more joy, happiness, peace, and love. And you have tuned in, along with, at this very moment, 380,712 people around the world. And by the time we bring on our remarkable guest, a dear friend of mine named Jake, we'll be over 390,000, maybe 400,000 people. And thank you so much for continuing to urge your family and friends to join and listen to the podcast, and that you share this with 5 people. That's all 5. Now, if you want to share with 50 or 100, it's up to you, but at least 5 people so we can touch almost 2 million people around the world. Because you know that on this podcast, we discuss the 3 fundamentals of life. And when you use these 3 fundamentals, you will be happier, healthier, and wealthier. Who doesn't want that? So the first fundamental of life is, number 1, life, your life has purpose. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, number 2 happens. And in this case, a good number 2, you go MAD. Now, MAD is a wonderful acronym that stands for make a difference. You lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference in the world. And the third fundamental is to uncover the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. Simple example, right now, this podcast is being carried around the world through the internet. If you ask anybody, what does www stand for? Invariably, they'll tell you it has to do with the internet. And factually speaking, they're correct. However, in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, www stands for what a wonderful world. And what is a word, right? W-H-A-T-A. And of course, a tip of the hat and a big thank you to Louis Armstrong, Satchmo, for enabling that song to go viral and not just touch tens of millions or hundreds of millions, but billions of people around the planet. And whenever you hear the opening bars of this song, what a wonderful world, what do you do anyway? You can't help it. You smile. Now, SMILE is one of the most important acronyms that you could ever internalize, leverage, and utilize in your life, because SMILE stands for seeing miracles in life every day. That's right. Seeing miracles in life every day. Now, I got to tell you, when I do my in-person events, recently we had one, I have 1,127 people in the audience. I'm telling the story about Barry Shore, and I'm seeing miracles in life every day. People raise their hand and say, hey, Barry Shore, I've been up for hours. I haven't seen any miracles. And I ask them, are you here? Can you hear? Can you stand still? I can't do that. Can you walk? I can barely do that. Do you have food to eat? Do you have a place to sleep? Do you have water? Do you have family? Do you have friends? Every single one of those is a miracle. Now, what's the proof? Simple as proof. 1 million people didn't get out of bed this morning. You know why? They died. By definition, if you're watching or listening, you didn't. Therefore, you have an obligation to live life to the full, live exuberantly. Let me tell you a quick story. It's about me. Imagine, if you can, I'm standing up in the morning, completely healthy and hearty, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. And that night, I'm in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed from my neck down. And it was not because of an automobile accident. It wasn't a spinal injury. It was a rare disease which took over my body. I never heard of the day before, and caused me to become what's called a quadriplegic. Nothing in my body moved, my neck down. I could only communicate by blinking my eyes. I was 144 days in the hospital. I was in a hospital bed in my own home for 2 years. I couldn't move. I was in a hospital bed. I was in a wheelchair for 4 years. I had braces on both my legs, my hips to my ankles, and that was progress. Thank God today I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand. So I'm a triped, not a biped. I can't walk up a stair by myself. I can't walk up a curb by myself. I help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. You hear my voice. Positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, all because of one word. And this word, of course, is smile. Now, I got to tell you a quick story, though. My 8-year-old niece comes over to me a few weeks ago and says, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile S-M-I-E-L? I thought about it. Smile. Sounds the same. Why not? I asked her, how come? She says, because then it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life. Out of the mouth of an 8-year-old. But what was she doing? She was creating the kind of world that she wants to live in. Now, CREATE is a fabulous acronym. It stands for causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. That's right. It's about rethinking. You're going to hear a lot of this today from our amazing, young, dynamic guest, Jake Roussos. I've been working with people for more than 4.5 decades. And I can tell you something. When I talk about a shift in perspective, 97.2% of all the people I begin working with, they drop the F in shift and the other stuff happens. So you have to be effing careful with your Fs. You want to shift your perspective just a little bit, and then you can internalize, utilize, and leverage the 6 most important words you'll ever learn. And these are choice, not chance, determines your destiny. That's right. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. How you choose to respond to any given situation will help determine the pathway and the trajectory of your life. Now, before we bring on Jake, and for new listeners, I have to warn everybody in advance, I do use a lot of 4-letter words. I even use the 4-letter FU word, and I do it because of the shock value and it's fun. Now, of course, the 4-letter words that we use, because we live in the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant, are love, life, hope, free, play, pray, swim, gift. And the 4-letter FU word is fun. Fun. That's right. F-U, capital N, capital N. So after the show, you see your family and friends, you have a twinkle in your eye, you have a smile on your face, point your finger and tell everybody, F-U. Capital N, capital N. So where'd you get that? So I listened to Barry Shore and the joy of living. He had on this great guy, Jake, and he wants to teach the world to F you. Capital N, capital N. He'll get their attention. Then you can begin to talk to them about what we've been discussing today, which is really important for you and people that you know. So before we bring on wonderful Jake, I'm going to urge everybody to use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day, consciously and conscientiously, from now and the rest of your life. And you do this, you're going to be happier, healthier, and wealthier. Hello. And these 2 words are thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank stands for to harmonize and nurture kindness. To harmonize and nurture kindness. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Therefore, we say, be kind always. Now, KIND is a fabulous acronym. It stands for keep inspiring noble deeds. I can't think of anyone that inspires noble deeds that I want to share with you more than my dear friend, Jake Roussos.
What is
398,722 people around the world.
Wow. Hola a todos. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Barry. Hello to everyone. Wow, what an inspiring intro, Barry. I'm fired up right now.
Well, we're so fired that you're here. So I'm going to give, if I started telling you all the things that Jake has accomplished in his 30 years on the planet, it would take the rest of the show. So I'm not going to do that. But I will tell you 3 things, maybe even 4. One of the 3 things is I have the distinct privilege and pleasure of knowing Jake since he's 14 years of age. And I can tell you, even at the age of 14, he was impressive. He was a giver. He was in service. He was watching. He was helping. And it's truly inspirational to be in the presence of somebody who is willingly giving. There are a lot of people in the world that give because that's a mechanism of saying, well, now you owe me, you can take. There is a distinct difference in life between people who are givers and willing givers. This is Jake. The other thing is that he's trained himself. He's worked on himself and with others to learn modalities so that he can actually learn breathing techniques and share them. And the third thing is that he has become an expert in working with younger people, let's say teenagers and young adults, and enabling them to understand how to be resilient in a very chaotic world. Jake decided to do this in another country. He comes from the United States, very wonderful, beautiful, affluent community in a place called Santa Monica, California, and relocated to Costa Rica, where he speaks the native language, Spanish, fluently, and helps people. This is what he does. He's in service. This is his life. So without any more ado, and again, I am just so tickled that you're here, and I love it. And by the way, when was the last time somebody says F you to you and you laughed?
It's been a while.
F you, capital N, capital N, fun. So I want to begin with one of the areas that you and I discussed earlier before we went back on the stage here. I want to begin with the idea of resilience and what it means for you, Jake, the educator, Jake, the 30-year-old. And I'm going to tell you that in the intervening few minutes we had together, I created an acronym for resilience. Would you like me to tell you what it is?
I would love it. Yes.
Okay, because it's a long word. Resilience, RESILIENCE. So resilience, I wrote down, stands for realizing enthusiasm spurs insights, leading inner energy, nurturing creative expression.
Wow. that word itself is resilient, or that acronym is resilient. Yeah.
So dear Jake, what does resilience mean for you, and how can you possibly teach it for other people?
It's a great question. And for me, it's simple. I love an acronym, KISS, keep it simple, smarty. It's one of my favorite 4-letter words. And resilience is about bouncing back. You know, life is going to present challenges. And like you said, right, we have a choice in how are we going to respond to the challenge? Are we going to allow ourselves to fall over and fold because something hard or uncomfortable presents itself in our life? Or are we going to choose to bounce back, even if we fall down? And we might fall down a couple times, and that's okay. I think it became an important word for me, you know, through my 20s as I was figuring out what I wanted to do and how I wanted to show up, and, you know, trying different things. And I entered the corporate world, and, you know, there were many success opportunities and also times where I just fell down on my face. And through that process, right, and also through having a really supportive community around me and people cheering me on, you know, people like yourself who are in the periphery and encouraging, and, you know, support is one of the 7 ingredients to living a resilient life. And this is what I like to practice with the young people that I work with. I also believe that something else is true. I believe that within each of us, we have everything that we need. And everything that we need is always right here. And so when I remember that, when things do get hard, I can come back to myself. I actually don't need to look outside of myself. Within myself, I have the ability to overcome challenges. So resilience is my ability to bounce back.
So I want to unpack a couple of things that you said here, because they're truly wondrous. We have a worldwide audience. Most of the people listening are under the age of 35.
Right on.
And most of the audience does not come from the United States of America. Everybody wants to live in America because they recognize America stands for one particular thing, which is opportunity, in the sense that you can try things and you can fail, but you never fail. You can fall down and get up. It's a famous, there's a book called Proverbs from the Bible. And it's oftentimes ascribed to the Japanese, but it's not. It comes from the Bible. This phrase, a righteous person falls 7 times and gets up. So the important thing of that is, first of all, it's a righteous person, it's not just somebody, falling 7 times and getting up every time. Every time. Not just once or twice, 7 times. So you mentioned that every person, not just Jake, every person has everything that is necessary for you to literally get up every single time, no matter the situation. Is that correct?
That's what I believe. You can call me crazy, but that's my belief.
No, well, I like crazy. We do like crazy. What I'm interested in is that is what you teach, share, and encourage in the people you work with. And let's be blunt. In Costa Rica, it is not the same kind of opportunity as people that say, like yourself, growing up in Santa Monica, California. You know, it's a more constricted kind of lifestyle. It's not as if people driving along and within 7 minutes are in Beverly Hills and seeing what the world thinks is success.
Correct.
You know, it's a different picture of success, and you are able to teach people how to be a success in themselves. Is that correct?
Well, you know, when I was going through coming out of college and struggling to figure out what my place was, and I ended up finding a groove for a while, and then I had a coach that came in and helped me, and she really helped transform a lot of things in my life. And she said something to me, because I would always thank her. I would say, thank you, thank you, thank you. She said, you know, I was here to guide you, but you have everything you need within you. And she just would always say that. She would always go back to that and always remind me, you know, you're the one doing it. You're the one overcoming these challenges. You're the one that's capable to deal with what's in front of you. And so as I heard that more and more, I was like, yeah, that feels very true to me. My heart responds in a very positive way when I say those words, when I hear those words. And so if it's true for me, it's just like you say, it's true for anyone else, right? It's possible for anyone else. And so it's one of the things that I like to remind children and remind teens and young adults and anyone who's willing to listen, is that you have everything you need within you. And so a lot of people are like, well, you know, I had a kid the other day, amazing 9-year-old boy. He goes, well, if I'm hungry, I don't have food within me. I said, that's a great question. And I said, so you're hungry. What are you going to do? And he says, well, I'll probably go open the fridge. And I'm like, see, you have problem solving. This is a strength of yours. You have this within you, right? We can always get there. And so it becomes a practice of remembering that in any situation. And you talked about something earlier, which is our breath, right? A lot of times you hear people say, I need this and I need this and I need that. The only thing we ever really need is to take a breath. I can survive a couple days without food. I can make it a pretty good time without water. I have a good friend that did a 14-day water fast. He just lived off water for 14 days, right? So really the only thing that we actually need is to take a breath.
So let's unpack a few things here, because this is tremendously empowering. Here you have a 9-year-old who asks an incisive, insightful, challenging question. And you were able to do the following. The person asked the question, and then you ask them back, well, what will you do? In other words, enabling people to think through their own issues, coming up with a strategy or two, and then recognize, wait a minute, oh, I figured that out. Like you're saying, your coach told you. Yes, you can figure that out. And without going into a path that is negative. Let's be blunt. There are times when people who are in poverty who can look and say, well, I want that, and I am going to do anything to get that, even if it goes against my values, my parents' values, or what I was taught. And to keep people on a straight and narrow, avoiding the negative aspects of the challenges of life, that is what builds the muscle. Now you're building in a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old that ability to recognize, oh, yes, I can succeed in a positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant way. Is that correct?
That is spot on.
Woo! Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do since we're talking spot on. By the way, anybody who is fortunate enough to be watching, not just listening, if you're not enjoying the radiant smile that's coming out of Jake, you're missing something. Now, I've known him since he's knee-high to a grasshopper, and this is the trademark of his. He is a radiant being. So the fact that you do breath work and such like that, it's just part and parcel of you. We're going to go to a commercial break. We would not have these sponsors if we didn't vet them and think that they're worthy of your time and your attention. And we urge you to consider using their products and services. So we'll be right back with more Jake right after this commercial break. Don't go away. Good day, everybody. I have some great, wonderful news for you. Everybody knows that fasting is healthy. Fasting? Healthy? That's right. However, it can be challenging. Not with Prolon. Prolon. Prolon is fasting with food. That's right. Fasting and you get to eat food. It all starts with Prolon's 5-day program. You get snacks, soups, beverages, and it's all designed to activate your body's fasting state. It's like anything you've ever experienced. I must tell you, if I was going to start a nutrition program, Prolon is exactly what I would use. It's convenient. It's backed by Nobel-winning science, and it works. So right now, Prolon is offering the Joy of Living listeners 10% off their 5-day nutrition program. I urge everybody, go to prolonlife.com/Barry. That's PROLON life.com/Barry for this special offer. 10% off for listeners to the Joy of Living because you like to live well. And using Prolon will help you live life well. So please go to prolonlife.com, PROLON life.com/Barry for the special offer. Do it now. You will thank me. I love it when you're healthy and happy and making a difference in the world. Best wishes. Bye now. Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. We found good in abundance. Our cup runneth over with good. His name is Jake Roussos. And everything you want to know about Jake and all the things that he does and all the programs that he has available, go to my website, barryshore.com, BARRYSHORE, barryshore.com. It's in the show notes. Go there. Everything you want to know about Jake is available. Jake is one of the most giving people I've ever had the pleasure of working with, interacting with, and being with. He is a channel, what I call a cog, a channel of goodness, a child of God. He works with young people and enables them to recognize that what they have is everything they need to live a full, positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant life. So, Jake, let's make a small shift, as it were, from resilience, which we talked about in some depth, and we'll maybe even speak a little bit more, and talk about what you call the social emotional learning for kids and teens. Because that's your life.
Yeah.
How do you impart to these young, restless minds social emotional learning?
Through play. So I love to play. I get to play for a living. I have toys like this all around my house. So this is what I would call an inside out ball. And it's a reminder that I have everything I need in here. I don't control anything that happens out there. Right. And let's do some playing and let's figure some things out and let's understand through play. Let's learn about how our brain works, how our body works. I've got at least 4 happy hormones that I can access pretty easily, which are serotonin, dopamine, endorphins, and oxytocin. And there are things that I can do, like celebrating the good things in my life or hugging a loved one or petting my furry friends or going outside and letting the sunlight come in. They're easy, what we call low-hanging fruit. Remember what KISS stands for, keep it simple, smarty, right? It doesn't take a PhD to do the things that actually make us feel good. And when we remember how our brains and bodies are connected and we actually play, because the neuroscientists tell us that when we play, we wire about 10 times faster than when we try and cram and drill. So let's play. And as we're playing, let's learn, let's build. It's experiential awareness, right? Socrates said, know thyself. This is wisdom as old as time, right? So I use play as my modality. And, I have some games that I like to bring, but ultimately we could play anything. You could play a game of cards. You could play basketball. I love to take my students into the ocean and play in the waves. The water is one of the best teachers.
Okay, I need to put him on pause for a moment, because when I was hoping that Jake would use water and I could interject a few things here. First of all, so where did I meet Jake? I met Jake and his mother, actually, and his sister at a pool. And pool is a 4-letter word. Play is a 4-letter word. Meet is a 4-letter word. Game is a 4-letter word. We love 4-letter words. I met Jake because, as I said in the introduction, I used to be paralyzed. And part of what was trying to enable me to regain some of my upper body movements, I'm still basically paralyzed from the waist down, but that's okay. I was able to learn how to swim, just basic backstroke initially, and then eventually crawl with using stuff. And it was Jake at the pool and his mother. Jake was a lifeguard. Jake was helping Mikey in Swim with Heart. Jake, because that's who Jake is. Jake is willingly giving. So water and Jake are intertwined. Water is, like you said, you have a friend who went on a water fast. Mm-hmm. Water inside, water outside of us. We are 79 to 82% water. We are that amazing liquid, the elixir of life, I call it. Now, I want to share with you something wonderful that you said. The 4 great chemicals that are available to anybody. So again, start with the D. The D is what?
Dopamine.
The O is what?
Oxytocin.
And the S is what?
Serotonin.
And the E is?
Endorphins.
Notice that I just showed you that you just spelled the word dose. You can use this now going forward. We call it a dose of hope. So those are the 4 elements. Wow. And hope stands for helping others progress every day.
Wow.
That's what Jake does. Jake is the dose of hope. And when he teaches people about these big words and they understand that they have them, because everybody knows that they're a physical being, but they don't oftentimes understand that they're really a spiritual being in a physical encasement. That's all. So when you take people to go out into the ocean, into the waves, especially Costa Rica, which is almost an equatorial country, right? I mean, you're right near the equator. So the water is generally warmer, and playing in the waves, you can't get much more real in terms of sharing and like you said, playing. And the best way to learn is to wire oneself with play.
Yeah.
That's how you learn, because it's all experiential.
Yeah.
So I wanted to interrupt you and put you on pause, because when you talk water, and that's how I associate you. You are water. You're the essence of water. And so to be able to play with young people frolicking in water is no different than a human being is no different than a dolphin or any other waterborne mammal or animal, except that we get to be able to breathe on land. If you can learn how to use your breath in the water, which you teach them, I'm sure, then they become even more capable, because breath enables the mind and consciousness to expand. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Jake and Warner. So talk to us more about the social emotional learning.
So, like I said, it's all done through play. And the idea, my goal, my mission, I would say, is helping children, young people, adolescents, teens recognize that they get to be the leaders of their own life. And with that, with being the leader of their own life, they get to learn how to make decisions for themselves, right? We live in a world that has a lot of outside pressure telling us you should do this. The shitters, people get shit on all the time.
Wait a minute. I like that. Oh, everybody you got to smile. People get shit on all the time. Yay, Jake. I love it.
Right. And so when we build a practice, one of my favorite things is when I have students tell me, I'll ask them a question about themselves and they'll tell me, I don't know. And I say, amazing. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to close our eyes. We're going to pay attention to our breath. You're going to follow the air in, you're going to follow the air out, and you're going to bring all your attention to your heart space. And you're going to ask yourself the question, and you're just going to breathe slowly. And we're going to wait here until the answer comes up. Sometimes it takes them, in the beginning, it takes them maybe a minute or so. We just wait. We'll wait there in silence. I'll breathe with them, right? They'll maybe get a little fidgety and I'll bring us back. And then over time, they start to recognize. I had a 13-year-old tell me a couple months ago, he says, I recognize I don't need to go and ask other people for advice all the time because I can check in with myself, right? So
that was a 13-year-old that said that?
13-year-old boy.
That is encouraging.
That gives me hope. That is a dose of hope, right?
That's a dose of hope. You're right. And that came about because of play, because of breath, a bit of guidance, and one can learn to trust oneself.
Yeah. And we do this. I lean into the strengths-based approach, right? So let's find out, what are our strengths? Let's play with our strengths. So if a problem comes up, right, and I'm a super creative person, how can I use my creativity to help me deal with my math teacher who's given me a hard time, right? How can I use my determination to help me get through the bus ride where I have to deal with a very unfriendly child on the bus, right? Because I want to get to school and I want to learn, right? So we learn through our strengths. And now again, right, we're playing. It's all about playing, and it's in the space that I create in the social emotional learning. I remind kids it's not about right or wrong. We're detectives and we're uncovering clues, right? And so my students might set goals, and sometimes if they don't practice their goals, they'll come to me and say, I'm sorry, I didn't practice my goals. And I remind them, right, that they don't need to apologize to me. How did it feel when you drank 8 glasses of water every day? Oh, it felt really good. My brain was hydrated, right? I was getting the dose that I needed. And how did it feel when you drank less water and maybe you chose sugary drinks? Oh, I was tired and I wasn't as energized. Great. So what do you choose, right? I'm not here to make this decision for you. What do you want, right?
You're empowering young people to know that they can make decisions.
Correct.
And take the consequences, accept the consequences.
Take responsibility for their thoughts, for their actions, right? For how they show up. And that's empowering, right? That when they see that I trust them to do that and their parents trust them to do that, then they trust themselves more. And we need people who trust themselves to show up in the world.
So that shows up now as the other R word. The R word that you use a lot is resilience. The other R word is responsibility.
Yeah.
Because when one is accepting responsibility, sometimes you have to be resilient because you accept the responsibility for doing something that may not be what you wanted really. And you didn't, you made an incorrect choice. Now you take responsibility for it, fell down, pick yourself up, resilient, say, I really don't want to do that again. That just really that sucked. I don't want to do that. And people learn and know that there's a safe space they can come to. It's called Jake or other people in the group, because you're actually welcoming, I presume, these young people into a group setting where there is, again, a positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant, play-oriented place where, this is a place I want to be. I like learning because all of my peers like learning. Mm-hmm. I don't want to hang out with the people who just don't like learning. Mm-hmm. Am I right?
You're absolutely right. And the ripple effect that happens in the group environment.
Oh, that's another R word.
Ripple. That one.
Ripple.
I always got to shout out Mikey from Swim with Heart, because she was the one who really instilled the idea of the ripple, right?
Wait a minute. Let's do a big shout out, Mikey. So Mikey is going to get this podcast. We have to send the link to her and make sure that she gets it, because Mikey has an organization called Swim with Heart. And at the pool that I learned how to swim, and that Jake was there, and his lifeguard, and his mother was swimming there, and some amazing people that helped me while in learning how to function as a human being again, not just protoplasm. And Mikey is one of these great beings that also is willingly giving. Yeah. She works with challenged children. And they're a challenge, there's no question. With remarkable patience, she was able to bring to them that which is not common in, again, most of these situations. These are kids who were challenged with physical issues, mental challenges, etc., and give them something that they would not have had in the normal course of events. And that is the water, and being in the water, and accomplishing. They learned how to swim. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, they were doing things, and the ability for the human being to accomplish something is truly the greatest path of life. Then the acronym that we use for the word joy, notice I didn't say joy. Joy. The acronym is Journey of You. Joy. Journey of You. That's what joy is. Learning about you, becoming the best you possible. So yes, Mikey, we love you. So we have the ripple effect. So what is the ripple effect?
I mean, the ripple for me, how I interpret the ripple, and we can get into universal laws and talk about the law of causation, but the ripple as I see it is when we make a decision to do something that has the potential to create good, whether that is giving a smile to someone, or holding a door open, or doing tremendous research on neuroscience, whatever it may be, right? From helping the ant get out of the pool because it might drown, right? This positive action creates a ripple. And when we have a positive interaction like you and I are having right now, right, we're creating energy, and this energy that we're creating is going to ripple out into the next interactions that we have, right? And so once we take responsibility for being the leaders of our lives, we get to choose how we're going to show up. And if we choose to show up in a way that lights us up, we get to ripple that light out to other people. Right. And now we're talking about something that's powerful, because 1 and 1 is not 2, right? 1 and 1 here is, right. We're talking about infinite possibility.
I like to call it a toga. You know what a toga is that the Romans used to wear? So toga stands for tsunami of goodness, always.
Yeah.
That's who you are. You're a tsunami of goodness, always. The ability to work with youth, and you're young yourself, and the ability to be that being that enables someone to recognize in him or herself that I have everything I need. I don't need outside validation. Because outside validation, if you're always looking for that, will always be lacking. And we don't need lack in our lives. It's like drinking the sugary drink, right? It's maybe a rush for the moment. It doesn't bring real benefits. This is so empowering, wonderful, Jake. I want to speak a little bit more, ask you to speak a little bit more about this law of causation, because when you deal with 9-year-olds, 13s, 15s, what's the age range that you normally dealing with?
So I would say that there's a sweet spot between 9 to 14, 15, where the brain is still nice and malleable. But I do work with children as young as 5, and I also support parents as well. So I call them big kids. I work with big kids as far as they go.
Okay, I was hoping you would talk about the big kids, because let's be blunt. You're in Costa Rica. Mm-hmm. You're in a small town, guess you call it a city, but a small town, plus minus 5,000 people. Anywhere in the world is a small town. And in Costa Rica, it's probably even smaller in the sense that it's rural, and yet let's have a lot of fun. It still has internet access. And we're not talking dial-up. I mean, he's talking about broadband, because right now you're coming to us from Costa Rica, from this small city, which of course has paved roads and everything. However, one of the essentials in today's world, in addition to water, electricity, and food, is internet access. Because what it does is that it makes people aware there is no geography. And that is good, because now the ripple effect truly can be a tsunami of goodness. Well, on this high note, we're going to just go to a quick break again. We love these sponsors, and we urge you to consider using their services and products as time goes by so fast. We'll be right back with more Jake, and you want more Jake. We'll be right back after this brief message.
What if you could shop at your favorite local stores, swipe your current credit card, and get extra cashback rewards? And what if you could also have donations sent to your favorite cause at no extra cost to you? What if this amazing program was absolutely free and very simple to set up? Well, What If is here. Welcome to Einstein Cares, where your everyday shopping gives you and your favorite cause extra money. It's fast, it's easy, and effortless.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe good-looking because you're always looking for and finding good. If we found good in abundance, Jake Roussos, he is one of the most dynamic people I've ever had the honor and privilege of dealing with in my life. And I'm privileged to say that I've known him since he's knee-high to a grasshopper, 14 plus minus years. And what he does in his life as a guide, a North Star, for want of a better term, a North Star for younger people, the ages basically of 9 to 14, as he said, and the big kids. I want to talk about the big kids for a little bit, because people don't exist by themselves. They're not islands. There is something called a family unit. And I'm happy to say, I'm going to go on a limb when I say this, that Costa Rica is probably a more family-oriented country, although we can't talk about the country, but let's talk about the city that you live in. It's probably more family oriented than most places these days in the world, especially in America. I mean, it pains me to even say those words. However, in many cities in the United States of America, family is broken down. You came from a whole family, and that, by the way, I think, not just think, I know, because I know your parents and such, that enabled you to have the foundation to be able to go out into the world and be this North Star to other people. So let's talk about the big kids. The big kids who, by the way, probably don't have or didn't have the same educational opportunities that their younger kids are having. And I want to know from you, tell me that they are truly positive and encouraging, and recognizing that what you're doing with and for their children, that it really resonates with them. That's another R word. We got resilience, we have ripple, and resonate. Does it resonate with them?
Yeah, it's actually incredible because always have a conversation with the parents, and I say, for this to be most successful for your child, everyone's got to grow together, right? I'm going to grow with you. They're going to grow with you. You're going to grow with us. We're all going to do this together. Everyone's got to put 2 feet in for this to work. And what brings me a lot of hope is when parents come and say that they are motivated because they're watching what their child is doing. And this is the essence of community, right? Let's look at nature. Let's look at the trees, right? We know that underneath the soil, trees of different species and ages are interacting with each other and sending nutrients and communicating, right? This is something that's also integral for us as human beings. We need, right? It's not just the children learning from the adults, but hey, these children have a lot to teach us. And so parents who have kids that go through this type of program or through this type of learning are often encouraged to start to take a look at themselves as well, and maybe do a little self-inventory. And, I love to invite family adventures, family rituals. This is actually, you said something in the beginning, right? We're not just a physical body. We're actually a spirit that lives inside this physical body. And so the number one medicine that we can give our children is a relationship to spirit, to whatever that means, whether that's nature or God or universe, however we choose to define that, but giving them that opportunity. So now let's bring the family together. Let's get everyone involved. Let's have everyone practice a growth mindset together, right? And let's create rituals that bring us closer, that allow us to play together. Most of the big kids, if I ask them, what's your favorite thing to play, takes them a minute or 2, or maybe a couple days to get back to me. Oh, when I was a kid, I really liked to play that. Well, great. Let's get back to play, because this is what we can watch our kids. Look at how they play. I always like to say, watch a kid who's crossing a street that has, like a yellow striped crosswalk, right? They're not just going to walk across the street. They're going to use it as an opportunity to bunny hop from yellow stripe to yellow stripe to yellow stripe. Watch your children. Watch how they interact with the world, with the natural world, and follow their lead, right?
I am so encouraged by all this. So I want to tell you something that I love to do. I'm not capable of doing it at the moment. Maybe one day again. So when I was younger, and I don't mean 6, 7, and 8, I mean when I was 45, 50, before it became one of my favorite things to do. Walking is great. Running is wonderful. I love to skip. I would urge you to consider, you probably already do it, encourage your kids to skip. And the best thing for skipping is when one kid holds on to another kid and skips. And the best thing is when one kid holds on to one on the right hand, one on the left hand, and encourages others. So you see kids skipping. They don't have to skip for a football field. They can skip just for down the street or across the elephant crossing. I mean, the zebra crossing. But skipping brings out a different vibe than walking or running. Skipping is all about fun. F-U, capital N, capital N, and play. So I would urge you to consider doing that. I love this idea. And let's be blunt on something. This is really important, that your program is not subsidized by any government or any school and things like that. It's the parents paying for this. Now, look, it may be considered a lot to them or a little, doesn't matter. The point is that they're paying. And when people pay for something, they appreciate it even more. So now the big kids get involved because they're paying something. And therefore the smaller big kids are saying, hey, this is so good for me. And they don't have to say it by words. Their actions speak louder than words, right?
Correct.
And this brings the family together. Humor me for a moment. In the place where you live, where you're doing your work and such, is it a family-oriented city?
I would say so. I would say so. There's certainly not an abundance of distractions that are available in, like where I grew up in Los Angeles or Santa Monica, right? So it's not like you're going to this family member is going to the cinema and this one's going here, right? Like if there's an event in town, or recently I went to watch a performance at one of the schools, you very often, you see the whole family unit there together. I would say that within Costa Rican culture itself, because the community I'm in is international, I would call it. There's people from all over the big blue sea. Costa Rican culture is very family oriented, which is nice. It's nice to be around that.
And Costa Rica, unlike some of its neighbors, is a very stable economy, correct?
Correct.
I mean, it's a very much more of a democratic state, and it's not a narco state and things like that. So you have the opportunity, and plus you have great weather.
Correct.
Yeah. And just to be clear, Costa Rica is both on the Gulf and on the Pacific. It borders both. It
Correct.
goes across.
Correct. So I'm on the Pacific side. I've got the Pacific Ocean right here, and across the country, you're up on the Caribbean.
So when you go in the Pacific, is it warm or is it relatively warm?
It is warm.
It's warm.
It is warm. There's maybe 2 days a year where I have to put on a neoprene top because the offshore wind is blowing really hard and I get a little chilly.
And there are soft sandy beaches?
Soft sandy beaches.
Oh, wow. And how far are you physically from the ocean?
About a 5-minute drive.
That far? Much like in Santa Monica. I mean, just right. Okay. It's so wonderful. So we've been talking about resilience. We've been talking about the ripple effect. We've been talking, like you said, keep it simple, smarty, enabling younger people to recognize that they are leaders in their own lives. What an amazing, not just an idea. There's a great child psychologist, I remember, his name is Piaget, right? Who was also a very major proponent of play. Play is one of the most important aspects for every human being. It is not something that children do. Play is for the human being. It doesn't matter what age you think you are chronologically.
Yes.
Play is like the ball that you held up. I mean, I could hold that up in front of a 60-year-old and show him, say, hello, everything you need is inside. This is so wonderful. I'm almost sorry to say these words, wonderful Jake. We're coming to a close for our time at this point. And first, I want to say thank you. I want to also ask your permission to ask you 3 questions. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Number 1, will you come back again?
I would love to be back. I'm so grateful to be here, and this is the best birthday present I could have ever asked for.
Woo! Very nice. Thank you. Okay, number 2. You only have 80 seconds to answer this, Jake Roussos. What is your most fervent desire in life?
Wow. What is my most fervent desire in life? To share these ideas that we've been talking about today with people everywhere, and to continue to pass the torch that so many people like Mikey, like yourself, are holding, and to allow the ripple of love to win.
The ripple of love. I love it. I'm going to have to think of an acronym for ripple. Okay, and the third question, may I give you a hug in front of, well, we just topped 400,000, 401,810 people around the world. Wow. Let me tell you what HUG stands for. HUG stands for Heartfelt, Unlimited Giving. Are you ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. of course, this is The Joy of Living with your humble host, Barry Shore, and our amazing guest, Jake Roussos. Everything you want to know about Jake, go to my website, barryshore.com. And remember, on this show, the reason you tuned in, and today you've been well rewarded, because we discussed the 3 fundamentals of life. Number 1, life has purpose. You lead a purpose-driven life, you go mad. MAD stands for make a difference in the world. It's like Jake, you make a difference in the world. And the third is to uncover the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. WWW, what a wonderful world. Smile, see miracles in life every day. Or as my 8-year-old niece says, seeing miracles in everyday life. Create the kind of world you want to live in, causing rethinking, causing ripples, enabling all to excel. When you do all this, you'll be happier, healthier, wealthier. Who doesn't want that? And remember to use the 2 most important, the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day from now and the rest of your life. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks stands for to harmonize and nurture kindness. Look at that on his bottle. Thank you. I love you. Back at you, kid. That's the essence of life. Learn to use 4-letter words: hope, love, life, free, play, pray, swim, grow, and tell everybody that you meet, F you, capital N, capital N. So after the show, when you see your family, friends, point your finger and say, F you, capital N, capital N. Say, where'd you get that? Barry Shore wants to teach the world to F you. Capital N, capital N. Get their attention, be able to speak to people about what we discussed today with amazing Jake. And we're going to urge everybody, remember, everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Be kind always. Kind, keep inspiring noble deeds. We have a blessing from Jake and Barry. And the blessing is to go forth, live exuberantly, spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Make a difference. Jake, don't go away, okay? Don't go away.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Joy of Living podcast. Now that's another step towards your healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Never hesitate to do good in the world, no matter what the situation. Join us for another upbeat discussion next time at barryshore.com. And be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to the show to get more conversations like this. And remember to share it with your family and friends too. See you on the next episode.